Hello my loves, welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is your girl Kensthetic with the Kensthetics, and I'm here with you guys today with a new video. Didn't know that love could change ya, and I woke up to a stranger. After all this time I thought that I knew when I was no debating. So if this is your first time here on my YouTube channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you guys so much for coming back for another video. In case you guys are new here, my name is Kendra, aka Kensthetic, and I am a new homeowner. I moved across the country by myself from the Bronx, New York to Houston, Texas. And in today's video, I'll be speaking to you guys all about the process of moving across the country and buying my first house. So yeah, super exciting. Like, I've been waiting to do this video for so long. I've just been putting it off, but the time just felt right to do it now. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do it now, period. So before we get started, before we get into today's video, make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are on the road to 17K. I post videos here about beauty, about lifestyle, about home ownership, furnishing my home, about fashion, travel. I do it all here on my YouTube channel. So if you guys are interested in seeing that type of content, then make sure you guys subscribe, hit that red subscribe button down below. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy, and don't forget to drop a comment after you watch this entire video. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So to give you guys some background information about myself as well as my process, as I mentioned, my name is Kendra. I am now 29 years old. I was 28 at the time when I moved. I moved from the Bronx, New York to Houston, Texas in September of 2022, which is when I closed on my first home, which I'm blessed enough to be sitting in right now. Sounds so crazy, feels so crazy, but it's real, okay? And so is God. When I lived in the Bronx, New York, I lived with my family in a family home. This is my first like big girl housing situation. I rented apartments and houses or whatever when I was in college with roommates, but this is my first time living by myself, like in something I own, you know what I'm saying? I never rented, like I never moved out and did like the whole luxury apartment experience thing. So this is like my first home, my first house, my first. I am a full-time accountant / financial manager, and I create content on the side. So I would consider myself a digital creator / influencer. Y'all told me I'm an influencer, so I'm an influencer, period. So I create content here on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok about whatever I'm interested in at the time. And what else? Background information. My background, because I know somebody's gonna ask, because people are always like, girl, you have an accent. So I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, but my family is from Dominica, which is in the West Indies. I am 100% Dominican, not Dominican, Dominican, okay? And I think that's about it. So yeah, y'all know a little bit about me, how I make money, what I do, who I am. So now let's go ahead and get into what y'all all here for. So the way I'm gonna structure this video is I'm going to answer frequently asked questions. This video is going to be the first video of a series. So if you guys have any follow-up questions, make sure you guys leave them in the comments down below. And I will frame the following videos of this series around the questions that you guys have, as well as other information that I feel will be beneficial to share. So I do want to preface this video by saying that for my safety, for my privacy, for my security, I don't mind you guys asking whatever questions you guys have, but please understand that if I do not answer a question that I feel like is a little bit too intruding, I won't answer it, just because I have to keep myself safe. People out here are crazy, okay? So I hope you guys understand, but let's go ahead and get into the video. The first question that people asked was like, why Houston, Texas? Like, why did I get up and move down south? Like, why did I get up and just say, I'm ready to be a Southern Belle, F this NY, sugar honey iced tea? Like, why did I want to come down south? Why Texas? Why Houston? And I did a whole chit chat video probably like a month after I moved, where I discussed why I chose to move to Houston, Texas. So if you guys didn't see that video, check it out above. But just to give you guys a high level explanation, I chose to move to Houston, Texas because 1, the cost of living, 2, is black enough for me, and 3, I have like friends and family that live here, so I feel like more homey compared to the other places I was considering to move to. But as I mentioned, if you guys want to know more, you guys can check out that chit chat video. So I chose to move to Houston, Texas by myself. I did this all alone, and it was scary, I will say that, but throughout the process I have made myself feel comfortable, which I feel like is the best and safest thing for a Black single woman living on her own. The next asked question that I got was, how did I find my house? So I mentioned in the beginning of this video that God is real, but when I tell y'all God is real, God is really real, okay? So I told myself for my 28th birthday that all I wanted to give myself was my own space, whether that was me moving out and renting or me moving out and buying. But I always told myself whenever I moved out of my family's house, I wanted to buy a house. I personally do not agree with the idea of renting. It's like you pay all of this money every month, and then when you leave, all you have is yourself, your belongings, your furniture. You don't have any equity. And for me, especially at this big age of basically pushing 30, I'm like, I really don't have anything. Like, yeah, I have bags, yeah, I have shoes, yeah, I have this, but at the end of the day, I don't have any equity. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, I'm pushing 30, time is ticking, what am I doing? So I began to look for homes right before my 28th birthday in April of 2022, because my birthday's in May. And I was on Zillow, you know, just searching. I was looking at homes in Dallas and Houston, and I felt like the homes in Houston, along with the other reasons why I mentioned that I decided to move to Houston, is what really brought me here. So initially, I either wanted to buy a condo or a townhome, because as I mentioned, this is my first time living alone. This is my first, like, you know, big girl place. And I knew that having a house would be probably too much of a responsibility for me, especially just jumping into that without any prior, like, you know, experience living alone. So I was like, okay, townhouse or condo. So I limited my searches, and you know, I'm looking, and I found this really nice condo. So I contacted the realtor that listed it on Zillow. So I hit up the realtor, he responded right away. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, he on it. And we scheduled a call that afternoon, and we spoke about, you know, my list of requirements in my place that I was searching for and exactly what I wanted. And he told me like, oh, I have this brand new single family home that is currently being built, and it seems to check off majority of the things on your list. And I'm like, no, I want a condo, I want a townhome, I don't want a single family home, that's not what I'm looking for. And he was like, no, hear me out. So he literally drove over to the property, and he FaceTimed me from the time he exited the highway up until him driving, like, you know, to the house, showing me everything, because mind you, I'm still in New York, right? Like, all of this is happening within 24 hours. Like, I just met this man. We spoke about what I wanted. He told me what he thinks that I want, and I'm like, because I'm just like, I know what I want. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I know what I want. So all of this is happening so fast, right? And he showed me the model home, because my home was being built at the time when all of this happened. So he showed me the model home, and I'm like, wow, this is nice. Like, this is better than what I expected for myself. And it was also within my budget. So I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, this is cute. But the thoughts kept running through my mind. Like, I don't know if I'm ready for the responsibility of a single family home. So we got off the phone. He provided me with like the contact information for pre-approval and, like, you know, first steps. And I was like, God, I need you right now. Like, right now. So I prayed, God, if this is what you want for me, guide me in the direction, provide me with the light, and things will go as you please that they will on your timing. He said, oh, you thought you wanted this? You deserve bigger, you deserve better. And he did that. At the end of April, I submitted my pre-approval requirements. I got pre-approved, and I literally found out probably like 2 or 3 days before my birthday. So that was literally the best birthday gift I could give to myself. And I was just like shocked, because I didn't know what to expect, but I'm like, I have good credit, I make money, I, have everything together, so I don't see any reason I wouldn't get pre-approved. But I was just nervous because I'm like, this is all happening so fast. Like, slow down, grab the wall. And after I got pre-approved, it was like pretty quiet. They were just building the house, doing what they have to do. And then towards end of June, early July, my underwriter started like their process of, requesting documents, performing their review. And then at the beginning / mid-July, I got final approved. So that like sealed the deal. At that point, I'm like, I am moving. Because I didn't tell anyone about this before I got final approved, except for Kim, because I was just like, somebody has to know this crazy that's going on. You know what I'm saying? Because I heard so many bogus stories about people having negative experiences with realtors and with home buying process. So I was just like, just in case anything happens, at least one person knows. So I told Kim was happy for me, and I didn't tell my mom until I had got final approved. And I did record my mom's reaction and how I told my mom in my video that I shared with you guys of my empty house tour. I have recorded like snippets of the whole process. So if you guys didn't see that video, I'll link it down below and in the end card so you guys can watch it right after this one. So mid-July, I'm final approved. I'm like, okay, bet I could start packing my stuff and worrying about how I'm getting all of my sugar honey iced tea across the country. I initially had a closing date of August 5th. But that ended up getting moved to August 15th and then eventually to September 15th because the countertops for my island were on like back order, or they would take long to deliver. And also something of my cabinets was missing. So I'm like, I need everything in tip-top shape by the time I move in. So I was like, take the time that you guys need. I was a little disappointed because I was like ready to go on August 5th, okay? Like I had everything ready. I had my plane ticket booked and everything. And I also had to come down before I actually moved to do a walkthrough. So it was just a lot. Everything ended up working out. So that's what I was the most happy about. So I closed on my house on September 15th and I moved into my house probably like 15 minutes after I closed. So yeah, it was crazy moving across the country, but we're gonna get into details of exactly what y'all wanna know. So throughout this video, I also wanna share tips that I think will be beneficial to someone who is purchasing their first house. So the first tip that I wanna say is to make sure that you are comfortable with your realtor. Your realtor really plays a huge part in the process of you purchasing a home. So if someone seems sketchy, if someone is like asking you for things and things just don't feel right, like recognize the red flags. Like really recognize them. Really, accept the fact that a red flag is a red flag. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll hear stories of people saying like realtors are asking them for like money in advance. Like the only money that I paid was to the seller of my house. I did not give my realtor any money. My realtor got paid from the sale that the seller made. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like I had to wire anything to my realtor, pay him any money up front. Everything that he got cash wise was from the seller, okay? I did not have to pay my realtor anything, but that was just my experience. I don't know if it's different based on like different realty companies you work with or in different states, but I'm just sharing that because that is the first thing that I hear about. Like realtors are like, oh, you have to pay me this money so that I can provide you with this, or you have to give me this money so I can pay this person. I did not have to pay my realtor anything. So that's the first thing I wanted to share because I don't know what the girls and the boys be doing out here, but okay, as a homeowner and someone who's interested in buying a house, in my experience, I didn't have to pay my realtor anything out of my pocket. I feel like some things that made the home buying process really easy based on my realtor was one, his communication skills. He made sure that I felt comfortable during each step of the process, especially since I was all the way across the country in New York. So he told me like, if you ever want me to stop by the home and, check on the process of the build, I will stop by and I will FaceTime you and let you see and walk you through. And I never asked him because I'm like, you're building the house. Like, I'm not gonna rush them, like, you know what I'm saying? But he did go twice without me asking to, like, you know, just check up on things and ask them questions or whatever the case is. So that made me feel more comfortable. I also felt like he didn't put any pressure on me. Like, he was okay if I was like, I don't want this house, like, it's not what I'm looking for. He was okay. Like, he was just like, I'm just showing you, I don't expect anything to come from this, but I'm just showing you this home as a, you know, choice, and then it's up to you to, you know, get it or, you know, ask for something else or whatever the case is. But he never made me feel like, oh my God, you have to get this home, oh my God, you have to get your paperwork in now. Like, he never did any of that. So I feel like that also made me feel more comfortable, because when I'm pressured, I'm just like, what you got going on over there that you rushing me to do this? You know what I'm saying? Hey guys, editing Kendra here. So something else that I felt was very important in a realtor that I was looking for was, I didn't want a realtor that had too many clients at a time or at the time, because then that means that they have like more people to juggle and they can't put as much effort into you and what you want. And I didn't know how, I guess, like, needy I was gonna be. I don't feel like I was super needy, but I just wanted someone I would have access to whenever I needed anything. And for me, I was just like, if someone has too many clients, they won't be able to, you know, fulfill that requirement of a realtor for me. You know what I'm saying? So I would recommend that the realtor that you choose to work with, that they have, you know, clients, because you want to make sure that, you know, they doing their job and they could get things done. But at the same time, I didn't want somebody with too many clients where it was like I wasn't getting the attention that I needed, if that makes sense. So that's something else that I would recommend to, you know, keep on your radar as you are, you know, looking for a realtor to buy a home. Make sure that the realtor that you are using or the realtor you're looking for doesn't have too many clients at the time. And that's a question you can ask. You can ask them, like, you know, how many clients are you currently working with, or how many clients do you usually work with at a time, just so you could get a sense of, you know, how busy that person may or may not be. So the next question is, how was the process of moving across the country? I'm gonna answer this question from one, a physical perspective of like actually moving across the country, and two, like, I guess the process perspective. As I mentioned, my realtor had showed me a tour of the model house in April, and I had came to Houston for Memorial Weekend of 2022. So when I came down for Memorial Weekend, I did come by to make sure, like, you know, the house actually existed, that, you know, bricks were up or whatever the case was. I wanted to see with my two eyes, right? So I did stop by. My seller, you know, he drove me over here and he showed me, you know, the progress that they made. And I'm like, okay, cool. At least I know, like, you know, things exist. Because that was another thing that I heard. Girl, I done heard a lot of stories, okay? And I'm not even going to share them because I don't want to trigger anyone or scare anyone. But I've heard stories. So I'm like, I just need to make sure that things are just thingy. You get what I'm saying? So I did come down for Memorial Weekend and I saw the house in progress. I saw that the street existed. I saw that, you know, everything was legit. You know what I'm saying? So I saw the house that time, and then after that, I didn't see the house again in person until I did my initial walkthrough, which was done a week before I closed on my house. I came down to Houston a week before I closed. I, you know, did my walkthrough. I blue taped anything that I thought still needed to be fixed. I closed in the afternoon. The morning of the day that I closed on September 15th, I came, I did my final walkthrough. I, you know, anything that was still missing or they still had to bring, they gave me like a letter, we signed it, and then I went to my closing, closed on my house, and then the house was mine. So I feel like the process was easy for me because one, I worked with a seller that's very well known, and two, it was a new house. So the process was easier to me compared to people's process that I heard of buying, like, you know, an older house or a house that was previously owned by anyone. Like, I'm the first person to live in this house. So the process was easy for me from that perspective. So yeah, the process to me wasn't bad. It wasn't long. It ended up being longer than I initially expected. But people also told me, like, what your closing date is, estimate for it to be like a month out, because things happen all of the time. People rarely close on the estimated closing date because things always come up and blah, 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 blah. So when August 5th ended up being moved to September 15th, I wasn't too shocked. I wasn't too pressed because my mind was already set up, like, you know, it may not end up being that date and it'll be okay, okay? It'll be okay. I was fine because, you know, I was still living back home. I had somewhere to live in the meantime. So I was blessed in that fact where I didn't have to, like, you know, stay in a hotel or whatever the case is, move out of my previous place. Like, I was blessed enough that I still was able to stay at my family's house as, you know, things were thinking and moving along. So I do want to say that, but other than that, it was easy. The process of physically moving my stuff, I would say, was probably the most challenging part of the whole moving process. In case you guys didn't see my previous videos or y'all don't follow me on Instagram, if you don't, make sure you do at Kensthetic_. I shared that I use roadway moving to move my belongings from the Bronx, New York to Houston, Texas. I will say that it was a sponsorship. They did offer me a discount on my services for me to promote them across my social media platforms. But you guys know that just like any other sponsorship, I'm gonna be completely honest about my experience. And overall, I will say that my experience with roadway moving was very pleasant. As I mentioned, my closing date kept being moved, and that resulted in me having to keep moving my moving date. So in case you guys don't know, it is more expensive, or at least with roadway, it's more expensive to move at the beginning or the ending of a month. If you move like mid-month, then the prices are a little lower. So with me having to keep moving my moving date, my price kept changing, and I wasn't like mad at it. I'm just like, I'm gonna pay whatever they asked me for, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, my stuff has to go all the way across the country, right? So it was a little challenging because I had to estimate my new like pickup date for them to come get my stuff, my new drop-off dates, and I had to do that 3 times. My memory card ran out of memory, so I had to clear it out real quick. But as I was saying, the most challenging part for me was physically moving. So I had to end up changing my pickup and drop-off date 3 times because every time my closing date got moved, I would have to reschedule my actual move with roadway. So roadway was very understanding. They were able to, like, you know, work with me and make sure that the dates that I ended up, like, you know, changing to actually work. They were very open to it. They were willing to adjust the dates. So that worked out fine. I would say their customer service was A1. I had worked with a guy named Joe from Roadway. So shout out to Joe from Roadway because he held it down. He made the process super easy. If you guys watch my previous video where I showed you guys my, you know, clips of me going through the whole process of moving, I showed you guys that Roadway actually provided me with boxes and supplies to help me pack my items up. They provided me with wardrobe boxes, and if you know me or if you watched my videos before, saw my living situation before, I had a lot of stuff, okay? My closet was literally jam-packed. I had sneaker boxes all the way up to my ceiling, and it was crazy. I had a lot of stuff, but they accommodated my move very well, so shout out to Roadway. If you guys are moving, whether it's long distance or short distance, I do have a promo code with Roadway that you can use. I think it gets you 10% off of your local move or short move and 5% off of like long distance moves. I will put the code on the screen and down below in the description box, so you guys can definitely utilize that. Put it in your back pocket, whether you're not moving now, you're moving later on, or you know a friend or a family who is looking for movers. Definitely check out Roadway. All of my stuff came intact. I even shipped my iMac and it came absolutely fine. So they did take good care of my items, which is a huge fear that I have because y'all know I have enough things, okay? I have mad stuff, and I was just like, oh my God, I hope everything comes safely. I hope everything comes, period. And everything came. They did a great job picking things up from my home in the Bronx, moving things into my home in Houston. They were very respectful of spaces as they were coming in to get things. So I absolutely would recommend Roadway moving. But that is how I physically moved all of my stuff across the country. So the next question that I got a lot of was like, were there any hiccups in the process, or what would I have done differently if I could go back and do anything? So I would say that the only like hiccup I would say that I experienced in my process, and it wasn't really a hiccup, it was just like we couldn't have prevented it. Either way, it was that my realtor had experienced a family emergency around the time where I had to sign my purchase agreement. So end of April, early May, after I got pre-approved, I had to sign my purchase agreement, which basically says, girl, we about to, you know, lock this house in as yours. So sign these papers so that we could confirm everything. And that was my first time ever like working with a home contract, because in case you guys don't know, I worked a lot with contracts at my previous job, and I've seen tons of different types of contracts during my professional experience, but I never worked with like a realtor home related contract. So I'm just like, oh I need help with this. Like, I just want to make sure everything is right. I want to make sure that, you know, this is standard. There's nothing they're leaving out or anything that, you know, a realtor or someone who sees these contracts all the time would recommend in addition to what's being stated here. So I wanted my realtor to take a look at it before I signed it, because I was okay with it, but I wanted his green light as well. But as I mentioned, he did experience a family emergency. So I'm like, I'm not bothering anyone who's going through life, because I know what it feels like to go through life. And the last thing that I want is for somebody to be bothering me, whether, you know, no matter what the situation is, okay? So I contacted my friend Ciara, my good sis Ciara, and I'm like, girl, do you have a realtor's contact that I can get some help with on my purchase agreement? And she was like, yeah, girl, blah, 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 blah. So she sent me, I think this was her realtor. Yeah, I think it was her realtor for when she purchased her house. She was like, here's her contact, you can hit her up. She's very helpful. So I hit her up. Her name is Tori. She is a Black woman who works in real estate here in Houston, Texas. And she reviewed the purchase agreement, and she told me, like, you know, things were pretty standard. She summarized like certain things that were in the agreement that, you know, I probably wouldn't understand based on the way that it was worded. But either way, she was a great help. So if you guys are looking for a realtor in the Houston area, here are my recommendations. So whether you are looking to rent, whether you are looking to buy, whether it is your first, third, 15th time, these are some realtors that you can check out to help you with the process. So the first one is Tori, which I just mentioned. So I work with Tori with my purchase agreement. And after that, my realtor, like, you know, stepped back in and, you know, resumed his role. But she did a great job helping me with my purchase agreement. She did a great job. Like, she checked in on me like, girl, is there anything else you need, blah, 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 blah. And she was just so nice. So her Instagram is tori.monet. I will put these Instagrams up on the screen as I mention them. But yeah, she works in the Houston area, very professional, very nice. And yeah, I would recommend her. And then also I would recommend my friend's husband. He recently started like his real estate practice. His name is Fawn. I don't want to mispronounce his last name, but his name is Fawn. I'll put his Instagram here. But y'all, his content, how could you not want to buy any of these houses? Like, I'll put some examples on the screen, but he plays no games when it comes to his real estate content. So if you guys are looking for realtors in the Houston area, check out Tori, check out Fawn. Highly recommend. For everybody who was asking me for who I worked with or who they should work with, these are the people that I would recommend. And I would recommend my realtor too, but he's not on social media, so it's like harder to provide his information. Y'all know I don't like sharing people's phone numbers and stuff like that. So yeah, but check out Tori, check out Fawn. Tell them that Kendra sent you if you guys end up, you know, working with them or exploring your options with them. Let them know that Kendra sent you. So the next question that I got a lot of was, how did I choose the area that I moved to? So as I mentioned, I did not like physically come to my home until Memorial Weekend, so May of 2022. So I told you guys that when I first spoke with my realtor about this home, he called me from the time that he exited the highway up until the time he drove to my house. And I was able to, like, you know, see the neighborhood and stuff like that. But I personally knew I did not want to be located in downtown or midtown of Houston. I did not want to be around, like, you know, foot traffic. Like, I wanted to be close, but I didn't want to be that close. You know what I'm saying? Because where I lived in New York, I didn't live in New York City, but I lived close enough. So I kind of wanted that same, like, you know, location, but like just copy and paste it over to Houston. Like, I want to be close, but I don't want to be too far away, if that makes sense. So Some things that I also considered when I looked into like the area of the home was the school district. So, you know, eventually your girl wants to end up having kids. This is like my first home. This is not my dream home. I do want to say that as well, but I still wanted to make sure that the schools that were in distance, like, you know, around my home, it was in a good school district, so that, you know, when I start popping my babies out, they have like, you know, some good options. Okay. So I looked into the school districts. I looked at how close the nearest police station and fire department are. I looked at the distance of like the closest like stores, because I also didn't want to be too far away from things, if that makes sense. Another thing that I made sure to look into was that my home was not located in a flood zone. In case you guys don't know, Texas has a bunch of flood zones, which basically means like, you know, when it rains hard, your home is more likely to flood. So I wanted to make sure that my home was not in a flood zone. So that's something else to consider, specifically if you are looking into moving to Texas. Like in New York, it's easy to say you're close to something because it's walking distance, but in Texas, everything is driving distance. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I was in an area that was like central enough for me and also had great resources nearby. So those were all things that I looked at when I chose the neighborhood I wanted to move to. I wasn't too specific, like I want to be here, I want to be there. I just wanted to make sure that I was comfortable in the area where I chose to move. And I will say that having been here for almost a year, I feel very comfortable. I feel very safe. So I do feel like I chose a great area. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'm not going to share too much information because people on the internet are crazy. So please, I'm telling you guys, if you guys ask me exactly where I live or what area I live in, I will not be answering that question because I need to make sure that I'm safe, okay? The next question you guys had was how much money did I save before I moved? And I don't like stating specific numbers, but I will tell you guys that I ended up saving twice as much of what my closing costs and down payment were. So whatever your closing costs and your down payment are going to be or estimated to be, I would recommend saving at least twice as that much, because babes, when I tell y'all expenses are gonna come popping up, like you on a porn website, they're gonna come popping up, okay? So don't think that, oh, I paid my down payment, I paid my closing costs, like that's all that I'm gonna have to pay. No, babes. You still have to pay for home inspection. You still have to pay for pest control. You still have to pay for cleaners if you want like professional cleaners to come clean your house for the first time. I'm Caribbean, so I did it myself because I needed to make sure that each crack and crevice was clean to my standard. But there's going to be so many other expenses that come up, especially if you are not moving into a new home. So definitely be prepared for that, okay? Definitely be prepared for that. And also, you have to buy furniture, right? So that was something that I didn't really look into before I moved. I'm just like, I know I'm moving. I just need to make sure I get there safely, my things get there safely. And when I get there, I can focus on everything else. So if you guys have been watching my moving vlogs, you guys see that I'm still in the process of furnishing my home. It's not a process that I wanted to rush. Also, your girl has bills. So it's not just a matter of saving money related to, you know, your house, but I still have life to pay for, you know what I'm saying? So I would definitely recommend saving at least twice as much of what your down payment plus closing costs are estimated to be. The more you save, the better. But I'm telling you guys right now, expenses are going to come popping up like you are on a porn website. So be prepared, or be as prepared as you could be. So the next question that I got was related to needing a car, or the process of car, when to get car, how to get car, how to move car. So in case you guys don't know, I am an owner of a Jeep Wrangler. Okay, I am a Jeep sister. So this is my first car ever. I never owned a car when I was in New York. I just had no interest in driving. If you knew me, you know that it's gonna sound crazy. If any of my friends are watching this, please forgive me, but I didn't tell anybody I had a license. I had a license since I was 16, I want to say, and nobody knew because I never wanted to be responsible for driving. I didn't have a car, so I didn't understand why I needed to drive. You get what I'm saying? So I knew that coming out here, I would eventually have to get a car, right? Because as I mentioned, this is not New York. Everything is not, oh, my eye, my lash. This is not New York. You cannot walk places. You can't just jump on a train, jump on a bus. Like, they have public transportation here, but it's not New York. shitty public transportation, okay? So when I was in New York, I played it safe. I played it cost friendly. I'm like, why have a car when I know I want to move and I could just put that money into my savings account? Babe, I got a quote on car insurance in New York, and why did they ask me for $1,200? Are you smoking, or are you like, I couldn't believe it. So I was just like, yeah, having a car in New York is just not for me. Like, if I have a car in New York, I'm basically working to have a car in New York. You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, I don't need a car in New York. So when I moved out here, I'm like, I know I'm gonna have to get a car, but also, you know, I'm still adjusting. I have so many things that have to get done because my brain was just scrambled. And I stayed out here for 2 weeks. And then I had to go back to New York for work. And then when I came back from New York, that's when it hit me like, girl, you need a car. You need a car. Because I would call Lyfts, I would call Ubers, and they would take like 20 minutes to come. Baby, if you're gonna take 20 minutes to come pick me up, I don't want to go by the time you get here, okay? Like, when I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. So I was just like, yeah, I've been out here basically for 3 weeks without a car, and I just can't function like this. Like, when I want to go to Target to get a new body wash, a new deodorant, a new body scrub, whatever the case is that I need, I'm ready to go now. I don't want to have to wait for a cab. I don't want to have to wait for somebody to come pick me up. I'm very independent, so I feel like me not having a car took that away from me kind of, and I just wasn't comfortable with it. So I did end up buying a Jeep Wrangler 4xe 2022. I gave you guys a whole video on that process too, so if you guys are interested in seeing that, I will link it up above for specific details. But I will say that you need a car living in Texas. Like, if I could turn back time, I would have got a car. Like, I'm happy at the time when I got a car because it took me to realize that I needed a car then. Even though people were telling me like, girl, where's your car? Da, 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 da. I'm like, y'all just chat and I'll be fine for like a month, 2, 3. Girl, no. So I would say to, after you finalize your move, start looking into cars or figuring out cars, a moving car. Because if you live somewhere else and you're moving across the country, another state, whatever the case is, there are services that will move your car. Some people were asking me for my recommendations on those services, but I didn't have a car to transport across the country with me, so I don't know any services, but it's definitely an option. So I would definitely recommend looking into it. But yeah, I'm happy that I got a car when I did. I got a car when I was 28. I got my first car, and I have my license for 12 years with no car. So I appreciate God's timing of things, because had I got a car when I was in New York, baby, y'all think I would have still had money to move with them asking me for $1,200 for car insurance alone? That's not even a car note. That's not even oil changes. That's not even maintenance of the car. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm happy I didn't get a car when I did. But moving to Texas, you definitely need a car. The next tip that I want to share when it comes to buying a home is literally to get everything in writing. That's a tip that I would share for any type of business you're doing. Get everything in writing, because I am the queen of receipts. I like to have everything in order, so when somebody comes back and says, no, I didn't say this, or I didn't offer this, here it is right here. Here it is right here. So say this ain't you. Say this is not you. Okay, get everything in writing. Even if you have a phone conversation and someone confirms something over the phone, y'all know what I do. I go right to my computer and I type up an email and I say, per our phone conversation, I just want to confirm blah, 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 and basically just regurgitate or repeat what they just said on the phone so that they can respond and say confirm or whatever, and then you have that as a piece of paper trail. Okay, I do not play about oral confirmations. I need it written down or it didn't happen at all, period. So definitely get everything in writing. As I mentioned, if you have a phone conversation and something was confirmed via phone, write up an email and ask them to confirm via email, and you'll have that for your documentation. But I think that is super important, and that helps to cover your ass. So the next and last question that I want to answer in this video is, how do I feel about my move? Do I regret it? I would say that I don't regret it at all. First, I would say that I'm very happy that I depended on God's timing. Everything happened when He wanted it to happen. And even though I felt some type of way about, things getting moved around and blah, 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 I am very grateful for the timing of when things happened. I feel like I definitely made a great choice of moving to Houston, Texas. I'm very happy here. A lot of people ask me like, how's going out? How's this? How's that? I'm gonna do a chit chat, get ready with me, all about like the truth of my experience in Houston, Texas, just giving you guys the real tea on how I feel about specifics of living in Houston. But overall, I feel like I made a great choice by moving to Houston, Texas. It is way different than New York, but it's everything that I asked for. Like, it's peaceful, but it's still mixy, okay? It's quiet, but it's still loud. Okay, it's black, but it's still black. Y'all got what I'm saying? So I definitely appreciate the fact that I sat back and explored my options and weighed things out and actually moved with what I wanted to do and not what people recommended that I did, if that makes sense. So I'm very happy with my move. Do I regret it? No. Understand that wherever you move to, whether you move out of the country, out of the state, wherever you go, it's not permanent. Like, buying a house is you adding an asset under your belt that you can go ahead and hopefully do what you want to do with it. So even if down the line I want to end up selling my house and getting my dream house, I could do that. Whether I want to buy my dream house and keep this house and have this like rented out to somebody or use it as Airbnb or a studio space or whatever the case is, I have it like it's mine, so I can do what I would like to do with it. I also want to mention that if you are looking to move to Houston, Texas, I know I structured this video around like buying a house, but it's okay to come here and rent too, because another option that I kind of gave myself was if things don't work out and I can't find a house in whatever timeline I gave myself, I don't mind moving out here, renting for a year, and then buying a house, because one, that would allow me to get comfortable with like different areas of town, different neighborhoods. So that's something that I would recommend if you're the type of person who is really like pressed about the location of where your house is going to be, or where you do end up buying a house. Come out here, rent for a year, still save at the same time. So don't go out here buying the most luxury apartment, but come out here on a budget, do what you have to do, and then you can end up buying a house. No decision that you make is like absolutely permanent. You can't move X, Y, and Z. So do what feels comfortable for you. I felt comfortable moving into a house that I own when I first moved out here, but I would have also been okay with coming out here, renting for a year, figuring things out, and then settling in, buying my house and all of that. So if you're somebody who's like, I don't even know Houston, I recommend visiting, seeing how you like it, because before I moved to Houston, I visited Houston 4 times, I want to say. And each time I visited, I fell more in love with the city. So definitely come out here a few times, feel it out, see what you like, see what you don't like, go around town. Don't just go out being mixy, okay? It's okay to go out and, have a little brunch, have a little lit situation night. But when you come out here to see what it's like, actually go around, drive around and see what things are like. And I would also recommend, when you are moving, whether you are renting or you're buying a house, a lot of times, like especially when you do apartment tours, they do apartment tours during the times where, you don't hear a lot of noise or you don't see a lot of foot traffic. But definitely visit the place you're moving during off times or like at night or whatever the case is, just to see what the vibe is throughout different times of the days, because these realtors and these leasing offices know what they're doing. Okay, they're gonna bring the new people in when they know everything is good, jolly, and dandy, and then the other times you're gonna be like, damn, I didn't know they did construction at 6 a.m. You know what I'm saying? So definitely check out the neighborhood or the areas that you are looking into during like times where they don't bring you in, okay? Because there's a reason why they bring you in during certain times, if you get what I'm saying. So that's another recommendation I have. But don't feel discouraged to move out of your hometown. I would say that this has been the biggest leap of faith that I have took in my life, in my 29 years of life, is getting up and moving across the country by myself in my 20s. It's probably one of the best decisions that I made, because also for me, I'm like, there's literally nothing holding me back. I don't have a man, I don't have no kids. I have my family, but I speak to my family at least twice a day. And also when I was back in New York, I also wasn't on the scene. Like, I've been outside since I was 15, 16 years old. Okay, so when I get to 28, it's like, girl, what you still looking for outside? Okay, you still ain't find your man. but I was just not into like nightlife in New York or anything anymore. So for me too, it's like, if I do want to go to New York and have a good time, it's a 3-hour flight. You know what I'm saying? I have many places I can stay. It's not like I have to go back, pay for a hotel. I have much family in New York, so I can always go back and visit. It's nothing to go back and visit. So I just say all of that to say, like, don't be afraid to move out of your hometown. Don't be afraid to feel uncomfortable, because I feel like you grow the most when you are uncomfortable. Like, owning a home has made me so much more responsible. Like, it's made me responsible to a point where I didn't even know I would have to be this responsible. You know what I'm saying? Without kids. Because I feel like when we think about responsibilities, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, when we have kids, or when we become a mom, or X, Y, and Z. I know that life was going to be this with a house, no kid, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like it has definitely challenged me in ways that I know that I would have never been challenged. One, if I was renting, or two, if I still lived at home. So I definitely feel like it's added a little bit more onto my adult years, onto my adult resume. So many of you guys have commented on my videos since I moved, like, girl, like, I love this new you know what I'm saying? Like, you look so much older, you feel so much mature, and I'm happy that I'm able to exude that energy, period. But yes, definitely take a leap of faith. Move out of your hometown, okay? You can always go back. Like, you can literally always go back. So I hope that this video has, one, inspired you guys to feel comfortable being uncomfortable and move out of your hometown if it's something that you have been meaning to do, and two, buy a house. Like, start building equity, okay? Generational wealth, we're all here for it, and it starts with us. So I definitely want to do this series to inspire you guys to buy homes, or, you know, even if it's not a house for you, if it's an investment property, I definitely want you guys to feel comfortable doing it. As Black people also, I feel like, not that it's looked down on, but people are just so focused, especially my generation. I would say that people are so focused on the current that they're not thinking long term. Like, it's crazy, but I plan to inspire you guys to think long term, think big. And we can do it, okay? Like, it really starts with us. So make sure you guys comment down below and let me know any questions you guys have about any part of my process, whether it's like paperwork that was required, or whatever questions you guys have. Comment it down below, and I will do a follow-up video or follow-up videos to continue sharing parts of my experience with you guys. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know that it's taking me way longer than expected to record this video and get it out to you guys, but I am happy that I chose to do it when I felt like the timing was right. And we are literally coming up on 1 year of being a homeowner. So I am definitely gonna give you guys a video about my review, my thoughts, my opinions on 1 year as a homeowner, because this is a big thing and I have learned so much in the process. So I am definitely going to share things that I learned along my process with you guys. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that video, because it's coming soon, period. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. As I mentioned, I really hope that this video has inspired you, even if it's not to buy a house, but just do something that makes you feel uncomfortable and contributes to you building generational wealth for your family. I definitely hope that this video has inspired you to do so. And I'm here to help, okay? I'm here to help, but I'm also here to make sure that I stay safe. So make sure you guys keep that in mind as you guys ask questions. And also, I do want to say that if you guys ask me anything, please bear with me as I take my time to respond. As I mentioned, I do have a full-time job, so I don't sit on Beyonce's internet all day. So please give me time to respond. I will respond to everyone though, so make sure you guys leave your comments down below and keep your eyes peeled for that follow-up video. I will have Tori and Fawn's Instagram handles down below in the description box, so you guys can definitely check them out if you're looking for realtors in the Houston area. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video enough to subscribe to my channel. So make sure you guys hit that red subscribe button down below and join the family. I am still uploading moving vlogs, so if you guys want to see, you know, around my house, how I'm furnishing, what I'm dealing with, pros and cons of being a homeowner, make sure you guys check out those videos along with the other content that I upload here on my YouTube channel. Give this video a big thumbs up so YouTube could do its thing and circulate this video across its platform. And drop a comment down below. Until my next video, I'll see you guys later.
same